For the 8th year running, we bring you the end of the transfer deadline day. The final hours are upon us, and we are upon you as well. Hello and welcome to Joy News and Joy Prime, and also streaming on Joy News YouTube, and also streaming on Joy Sports Facebook, Joy News Facebook, and also Joy Prime YouTube. Facebook, sorry. I'm Gary L. Smith, and after 1,376 deals have been completed, £5.4 billion spent, a staggering amount, but the spending is not over yet, and that's why we're here. As we enter the final few hours of the summer transfer window and the scramble for the last-minute deals intensify, remember that the first games of the 2023-24 season have provided further evidence of which gaps need to be plugged and which players are surplus to requirements. From timings around Europe and beyond to squad registration rules, here is what you need to know. From now till the end of the window, we'll have you covered. When I come back from this, I'll tell you when the various windows close. But first of all, let's give you the numbers with our numbers man for today. Today, you don't call him Salamatu. You don't call him Tumu Jon Snow. We call him the numbers man.
That's right, Gary. And on this screen is where all the drama would unfold today on the transfer deadline day. Joy Deadline Day has got you covered. This interactive screen has got everything you need to know on the transfers. And we got it sorted by leagues, by price, and by even the sheer number of deals done. And as Gary mentioned in his intro, 1,377 human beings have been sold. In this transfer window alone, it's crazy, okay? £5.4 billion spent. That is a lot of money. And this is all leagues, especially across Europe. You can sort it by the latest transfer. And as you can see, Colin Dagba, Paris Saint-Germain to Auxerre. And that's what we, in fact, including your favorite club, we can go to, for example, which club has been very active in the transfer window today, especially Bayern Munich. They've had drama aplenty. Bella Kucha deal off. Palinha deal off. Chaloba deal off. They are struggling, my brother. They are struggling. It's not going well. So we've got this screen here that has every deal that's currently being worked on, that is completed, and will give you unraveled perspective on who is going here, where. And we are on, of course, from now till the transfer window slams shut at 10 p.m. Ghana time. So this is really your home of transfer deadline day, Joy Deadline Day, and of course, this screen has got you covered. Very soon, we'll go to Arsenal. We'll see what's happening there.
Yeah, we'll be doing that pretty shortly. But let me introduce the guys in the studio. They'll be helping me with the analysis. Buko Maku says, a man is never what? Until he's wearing a white... A man is never careful until he wears a white shirt and a what?
New car.
And a new car. Today, we don't have new cars, but we all have white shirts. You understand? So, to my left is Danny Cranton as well. Razak Musbao will be my co-host in a very special way. Razak, welcome as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. And behind, you know the way we do in the election headquarters? Yeah. We have a strong room at the back there.
That's right.
We have a strong room.
Led by Mr. Dafiamapo.
Yes, exactly. As for him, today we owe him a lot of stuff. But thanks. We'll be getting an overview of everything so far.
Yes.
But just to give you an idea of when the transfer windows will close in the various countries. Obviously, in Ghana, it's been extended from today until the 8th of September. Right. There are a few countries where the transfer window in the men's game remains open for longer. And this is what you have on your screen. So Germany closed today at 1600. Italy at 6 p.m. today. France closes in an hour, just an hour. England closes at 10 p.m. our time. Ghana September 8th. Belgium September 6th. And the new kids on the block. Look, if you told any of us here that today we'll be adding Saudi Arabia to this list, we'll call you, you say you are not correct. But But this is
And that is significant.
Yes,
September
yes.
7th. Because everybody must be careful with their players.
Hide
Because
your
when
players.
the England window closes and Saudi is still open, it's dangerous.
It's dangerous. So please, this is an interactive show. We want this to be a conversation. We want you to enjoy yourselves. We would love to hear from you. Join us via the hashtag Joy Deadline Day on the network formerly known as Twitter, now known as X. We will give you numbers at a point in the show. You can call in and rant. If your team is like Fentuo's team and they are not really serious, you can rant. If you happen to be a Nottingham Forest fan and you are going to buy the whole leagues, we will want to hear from you as well. We take a quick break, and when we come back, we will continue what should be a fantastic end to Deadline Day. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us on Joy News and Joy Prime. This is Joy Deadline Day. The hashtag is Joy Deadline Day. Anything that you want in terms of insights, perspective, explanations for the moves, and whether a move has been confirmed or not, we will let you know. We'll activate the phone lines later for you to call in on some of the deals that have happened and will happen tonight. The person who will be confirming for us whether a deal is done or not, if he has not confirmed, it's not happened. He is basically the pink sheet. Fentuo Tahiru.
That's right. And Gary, before we go into any of that, so far, as we indicated, £5.4 billion spent in this transfer window alone. 1,377 players have made moves. Just to give you an idea of where the money is being spent, incredibly, the Premier League, of course, leads the way in terms of the transfer. So I'm just going to sort out this in terms of the most money spent in each league, just to give you an idea of the most expensive transfers in each of the top 5 leagues, especially in Europe. So if we go to, for example, let's say the Premier League, and then we go to price, the most expensive player in the Premier League this season, in this transfer window, has to be Moses Caicedo, who joined Chelsea from Brighton for £115 million. Interestingly, it's followed by Declan Rice to Arsenal, also from West Ham United. He went for £105 million. And then the third highest transfer, Harry Kane, going to Bayern Munich for £100 million. So the most expensive transfers involving English clubs, or the top 3 well above the £100 million mark. Now, just to show you the power of the Premier League, let's compare that to the most expensive transfers in the other leagues. So let's go to Serie A, for example. And the most expensive transfer in Serie A involved a Premier League club, Manchester United, signing Rasmus Højlund for £64 million from Atalanta. It's not even up to £100 million in Serie A. Of course, Sandro Tonelli, that's the second highest, most expensive transfer involving a Serie A club, also involved a Premier League club. Tonali going to Newcastle for £55 million. And the third highest, you guessed it, also involving a Premier League club, Andre Onana from Inter Milan to Man United for £44 million. It just tells you that it is impossible for anybody to do an expensive transfer now without a Premier League club, because that's where all of the money is. And it's not just Serie A. Let's go to another league. So let's go to France, I think, Serie A. Is somebody touching my screen elsewhere? Okay, thank you. Let's go to La Liga. There you go. Jude Bellingham, of course not involving a Premier League club, but Real Madrid showing their superpowers, £88 million for his signature from Borussia Dortmund. Matheus Cunha, the second highest, Atletico Madrid to Wolves. So Wolverhampton Wanderers, a mid-table club in the Premier League, is responsible for the second biggest transfer in La Liga this season. It's crazy. And then Ousmane Dembele, obviously joining PSG from Barcelona for 43 million. So those figures, nothing, they dwarf in comparison to what we have seen in the other leagues. Now, let's see the Bundesliga. Of course, it had to involve Bayern Munich, but again, involving a club in the Premier League. And you're looking at, of course, Harry Kane going for £100 million to Bayern Munich from Tottenham Hotspur. The second highest, Jude Bellingham, of course, going to Real Madrid. And then you've got Josko Gvardiol joining Manchester City for 77 million. And basically, it's what you have. For all the transfers that have happened across Europe, every single one of the most expensive ones involve an English Premier League club. And that's what we mean by the power of the Premier League. The Premier League is buying, they're spending the money in the other leagues, and the other leagues can't even afford to buy players from the Premier League any longer. So it is what it is. And if you look at the amount of money even spent, even judging by clubs, if you want to sort by, let's say, transfers by clubs, for example, Arsenal, Declan Rice, Florian Balogun, and we'll come back to tell you which players have moved from your club and which players your clubs have signed. So you can see those of Arsenal, Declan Rice has coming, they've transferred out Balogun, Kai Havertz is coming, Xhaka is gone, Jurriën Timber is coming, Matt Turner is gone, David Raya is coming, Austin Trusty is gone, Nicolas Pepe, of course, his loan ended, so he's back to the club. Pablo Mari is gone. And all of that. Nuno Tavares, of course, also out of the club. So when we come back, of course, we sort through the other clubs to tell you exactly which players your club has signed and which ones they have let go. We've quickly gone to Arsenal. There's so many other clubs to come here on the interactive screen.
Okay, so we've looked at the power of the Premier League and why they are such a juggernaut. Now, going into the Premier League literally sets you up for life. You know, as is the case for even those who have been freshly relegated. Leicester City were outside the Premier League for a while until in 2014 with Nigel Pearson, they came up. The following season, with 5,001 odds, there's no way to dance around this, they won the Premier League. Now, they've been there and thereabouts since 2014, 2015, 2015-16, until they've had a lot of financial issues and they've gone down. But it is widely expected that with some smart buying, some smart shopping, and some smart football, they can rebound back soon. In helping them to do this, they've got one of Ghana's promising stars, Abdul Fattah Issahaku, who completed a move to the King Power Stadium from Sporting CP on the eve of deadline day. It's my pleasure to welcome Owen Palmer-Atkin of BBC Radio Leicester to give us some perspective as to why Leicester have signed Ghana's star boy. Owen, thank you for joining us on Joy News.
No, thank you very much for having me.
Yeah. So, Fattah Issahaku is, I don't know how to put this in a less dramatic way, one of the apples of our eyes here in Ghana. What do you think Leicester City saw in this young man?
Well, I think they saw a exciting young winger, exactly like you say. You know, this is a guy who has come through the youth ranks in the Ghanaian international team. I went to Sporting Lisbon. Didn't particularly maybe light up the show, but Enzo Maresca is a manager who likes to work with young players, likes to develop young players, and he's clearly seen something in what he showed at Sporting Lisbon and the other clubs that he's been at in order to bring him into the Championship to help Leicester get back to the Premier League. Now he comes into a side that there's a lot of right wingers in there already. He's going to have a lot of competition, but what better stage is there to have at this moment in time as a young winger under a side that are completely changing and completely evolving under a new manager, and we'll hope to be back in the Premier League next year. And as you rightly said, you become a Premier League player and it sets you up for life. And maybe that's, it helps both parties, doesn't it? If Fattah is able to help Leicester City get back into the Premier League.
Owen, you heard the man himself. He feels Leicester is the place to help him grow. You know the club better than we do here. What are the chances of Fattah's growth with the Foxes?
Well, I think when you look at Leicester's team right now, you look at a side that's being built with 19, 20, 21, 20-year-old players in it, and Leicester are going back to an old method of transfers where essentially they're trying to bring in young, good talent in order to grow them, and then whether they stay with the club and help the club be successful, or they move on to, you know, for a big fee to a bigger club like they did with Wesley Fofana a couple of summers ago. That's the way that Leicester City are going, and it's going to be very interesting to see how Fatal grows. And I think that a club like Leicester is probably the best place for him to be, because he's going to get opportunity. He's playing in a modern system under a modern manager, and he's in a fan base that really likes to see young players coming through and young players developing as well. So for me, if I was a young player, I'd probably want to go and sign for Leicester City as well, because it's a good place as a young player to go and play football. And as I say, you know, I'm looking forward to seeing how he develops and hopefully get Leicester City back into the Premier League.
Let me give a comment of our Facebook here. Fifi Fanta says, Championship is one of the hardest leagues in Europe. If Fatal survives here, he can play anywhere. Do you agree with that?
You know, they're probably right. The Championship is a division like no other in the world. How many divisions do you see where there's 24 teams in it that could all beat each other on any given day, and that you start, you know, the season where Leicester have come out the Premier League, and yes, you know, they've got the biggest budget, yes, they've got the best squad, yes, they should go back and get promoted, but there's no guarantees in that. This is not like the Premier League. So I would agree with that comment. If Fatal can come in, and if he can play well in the Championship, where it is so aggressive, it's so quick, the tempo is like no other. Really, you have to essentially run for 90 minutes straight. That there is no break in the Championship. So if he can do it here, then he can certainly do it in the Premier League. Right.
So Owen, let me introduce you to my lads in the studio. So there's Danny, there's Razak, and Fent. Hello, everybody.
Good to meet you.
I've got a quick question.
Yeah, go around the table.
What's the latest on Patson Daka? I've seen reports that he possibly could be moving to Bournemouth from Leicester.
Yeah, so Patson Daka hasn't played a single minute for Leicester so far this season. Obviously, £23 million man a couple of years ago in that summer transfer window. But has he developed as well as Leicester would have hoped? Probably not. And the club are looking clearly to move him on. And the development of Daka heading to Bournemouth seems to be picking up pace quite quickly. And if that move was to happen between now and the deadline at 11 o'clock UK time, then I would not be surprised. So there are reports coming out from The Athletic and from a few other organisations as well that are saying that move is moving quite quickly. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. But a move for Patson Daka to Bournemouth would not be surprising for me at all.
All right. Owen, thank you very much. And please pass on the message. Take care of our boy.
We will.
Take care of our boy. Thank you very much. Owen, from BBC Radio Leicester, absolute star as well. Guys, so let me just...
Daniel is a big fan of Fatal.
Of Fatal, I know, right? Joseph Afari Donko says, risky but best move. And Rob Ankuma says, Fatal definitely needs to work on his game. And I think that in all his interviews, he was very honest about it. And I like that. Danny, right?
Yeah, very honest. He says, basically, he knows he's not matured. He knows he has to grow. But the interesting thing about this boy is he has, if you are taking him by a checklist, he has all the tools. Is he quick? Yes, he's quick. Can he dribble? Yes, he can dribble. Does he have a good shot technique? Yes. Good passing technique? Yes. But it's just about molding the overall game style, and that's what I feel he hasn't had the patience throughout his career. When you look at his football education here in Ghana, it's obviously not going to take you to elite level. At Sporting Lisbon, we thought you would get that, but unfortunately for him, Ruben Amorim, then time no day. So he sent him to the B team, and we've seen this now. He's come to Leicester City. My only worry is the fact that it's a loan deal, and maybe if he has a very good time under Enzo, he may have to return to Sporting Lisbon, and we don't know how that will pan out. But for Leicester City, I think Owen has been spot on with it. It's the perfect team for him. The Championship means that he'll be guaranteed minutes. It's 46 games in the league season alone. And that is more games than a Premier League team will probably play the entire season, because the cup games are not guaranteed. But for Fatah, 46 league games, he's already...
It's a lot.
It's a lot. And he mentioned the competition that he will have to face in the Leicester City team. The fact that the championship sometimes even play midweek and then weekends, there will be a lot of time for him to be oriented into this team. And hopefully, next year around this time, we'll see a much better, a much well-rounded Fatah Issahaku.
Fento, I'll come to you, but Godfrey Pogo says, great move, the future of the Black Stars is bright. Razak, has there been too much pressure like this on this young man? And should we tone down the pressure and the hype?
I think, yes, maybe we should tone down the hype. I think it's part of the reason why, when we heard that he's not going to be part of the Sporting CP senior team at the start of the season, all of us got concerned and we're waiting to see where he will end up. It's very fortunate for him to end up at Leicester City. Really fine club. But when I was watching that interview, all I could see in his eyes is that he's gotten a huge opportunity. It was almost like he's been praying every day and night that somebody should come and take me. And all of a sudden, Leicester City came to grab him. All I can say that I just hope that he takes good advantage of this, show what he's capable of doing, because it's a championship. If you really perform at a very good level, Manchester United is looking at you. Yeah. Arsenal is looking at you. They can easily snap you. So I just think you should take good advantage of it. And you might just definitely, if he does well, I'm very sure that Fatah Issahaku will get a club.
Sporting need money. Everybody is selling for 100 million these days. If he does well, he's going to get it. Please, more comments like what I've read are welcome. Joy Deadline Day is the hashtag. Keep them coming. And we are here till 10:30. Thanks.
Yes. Transfers to keep an eye on today on Deadline Day. There's a lot happening, obviously. Several players have been signed already. Today, Man United completed a loan signing of Amrabat, of course, from Fiorentina, and he's going to be there until the end of the season. Today as well, Callum Hudson-Odoi has completed a move from Chelsea. So he's also left Chelsea on a permanent deal. It's been a deal that has been coming for a long time. Another deal to keep an eye on, Rob Holding is undergoing a medical at Crystal Palace, and that deal should be confirmed anytime soon. Another deal to keep an eye on today, of course, in case I didn't mention, of course, Callum Hudson-Odoi has gone to Nottingham Forest. And Forest have been signing a lot of players. They have been linked to Bakayoko. You remember him from his time at Chelsea. And it looks like a player that could also end up there. Chelsea have been very active in today's transfer window as well. But they seem like they will be keeping Conor Gallagher, who was linked to Tottenham Hotspur. And according to the reports, Spurs and their valuation of the player is way below what Chelsea expect to get for him. So the expectation is that he will stay at the club. Man United have already signed one player for Tottenham Hotspur in Reguilon, the left back. Pierre-Emile Højbjerg was also reported to be on his way out of Spurs. Man United were actually interested in him initially, but now that United have signed Amrabat, it looks like that deal may not happen after all. Another deal to keep an eye on, Kasper Schmeichel, the former Leicester City goalkeeper, who, of course, won the league with them in 2016. He spent last season on loan at Nice. Okay, now the report is that he's cancelled his deal with Nice and is available on a free. Suddenly, that is a big transfer, a big potential for any Premier League club to go and swoop for. So Chelsea need a goalkeeper. Hello? I don't know. But also, Neil Maupay, you remember him? Brentford, they've reached an agreement to sign him. It's a bit of a nostalgia deal because he's played for them in the past and they've been looking for a striker to come in. So we'll see whether that actually happens or it doesn't. João Cancelo, keep an eye on that. The reports are that Arsenal were linked, but now it looks like the news coming in is that it looks like he could be sealing a move to FC Barcelona. He spent last season on loan at Bayern Munich. At the end of the season, he didn't really play much. And City, because of some of the things that he said before he left, it didn't look like he's coming back to Man City at all. And so a club was interested, and now the reports are that Barcelona are bringing him on board. Going out of Barcelona would be Eric Garcia. He's gone to Girona on loan. You remember him, also a former Man City player. Yeah. He spent, 2 years at Barcelona. Suddenly, he's out and out of favor. And it hurts me to say this, but it's important for us to keep an eye on Mohamed Salah. £200 million is how much Al Ittihad are bidding for him or are reportedly preparing to bid for him. That deal may not happen today. It may not even happen this window. But the Saudi transfer window closes on the 7th of September. He's an Arab player. His pull power is amazing. And so anything is really possible. So we have to mention that is a deal that you can keep an eye on. Here's another deal that you need to keep an eye on. Randall Colomwani. Striker. Oh, yes. A striker that scored a lot of goals in Germany. He's gone to Paris Saint-Germain. Paris Saint-Germain needed to replace Neymar after he moved to Saudi Arabia. And they've got their man. Colomwani is the one going there. Sambi Lokonga, a player that Daniel had a lot of fun talking about in the past, came in, was supposed to be the big partner for Thomas Partey in the Arsenal midfield. It hasn't really worked out. And so he's gone. Okay, he is going, of course, also to Luton Town. And Luton Town are signing a lot of players this window as well, trying to keep their squad fresh and ready for the new season. Nottingham Forest have signed a lot of players, I think over 10 players so far this window. They've also signed a 21-year-old Ireland international, and his name is, and Daniel will love this, Andrew Omobamidele.
Omo what?
Omobamidele.
Omo.
He's a 21-year-old Irish defender, and he's completed his move to Nottingham Forest, of course. Divock Origi is closing in on a deal to Nottingham Forest.
We'll talk about the Nottingham Forest and why.
And Luka Jovic is also going to AC Milan.
Yeah.
So that deal is also completed. And Hervin Lozano, a few years ago, he looked like the new kid on the block, played for PSV, went away. Now he's back. He went to Napoli. It didn't really work out too well for him. He's gone back to PSV.
They said he was going to be the next Luis Suarez.
There you go. There you go. And this is going to blow your minds. Mark Van Bommel has signed a new 2-year deal with Royal Antwerp.
To be the coach, obviously.
Yes.
Obviously not the player.
Not as a player. He retired a long time ago. Anyway, so these are deals to keep an eye on. Obviously, there's a few more that we'll update along the line.
Right. It's not only about the updating of the deals, but we want to be here because we know all of you have internet. So we are here to provide some perspective. Couple questions.
Also, by the way, the Gravenberch move to
I was coming to that.
Completed now.
George Bar-Ado says, I hope the Gravenberch deal to Liverpool collapses.
It doesn't. I actually have a picture.
They have a picture.
It's done.
Oh, George Bar-Ado, I'm sorry. It's happened.
It's done.
Joe Spencer says he's watching.
And João Felix to Barcelona.
Has already happened as well.
Yes.
Eduji Derek Benetton says he's watching live from Adidome in the Volta region. What do you make of Palmer's move to Chelsea? I see it to be unnecessary. Quick.
I think it's not unnecessary. Chelsea need a player like that. Of course, it's going to provide some competition for someone like Noni Madueke. And of course, with the unavailability of Christian Nkunku, for instance, Christopher Nkunku, I think they need what do you call it? They definitely need someone like that to provide some creativity. You could tell that Chelsea need some creative player, and I think Cole Palmer showed it in the Super Cup. The few games he's had at Manchester City, he showed it, and he clearly also need opportunity to play. And it looks like Chelsea will be the right place for him. So it's good. It's a good move. But the question is, look at all the players Chelsea has signed from Brazil. Loan all of them out to Strasbourg, and you wonder why they go and spend 45 million on Cole Palmer.
We'll come to that. Sizeless Scanner says, what do Al Ittihad need Mohamed Salah for, and why do they need him? Well, you are in luck because we have a handy graphic to explain the situation, why they want Mo Salah. Why would they, put 150 million? So reason number one that we got is that Mo Salah is the most popular Arab player in the Middle East and North Africa. You can add the Gulf as well, far and away. So they need him because he gives instant brand recognition. Now, get this. They say if they sell him, they've crunched the figures, and he's going to give them an estimated shirt sale value of $10 million per season. Wow. That's what Mo Salah is going to give them. He's hugely marketable as an asset to Saudi's increasing youth population. And like in most countries in the world, the youth are the biggest demographic in Saudi right now. Remember also that Al Ittihad are undergoing a mega team project which already has Karim Benzema from Real Madrid earlier in the window, Fabinho from Liverpool, and N'Golo Kante from Chelsea as well. So these are the 4 reasons. He's the most popular Arab player in the Middle East and North Africa. Instant brand recognition, hugely marketable, and they want to add him as the cherry on top of their spending spree, and also basically as the face of it as well. Are they crazy to have asked for him on this day of all days? Because Liverpool were never going to sell, right? Were Liverpool going to sell today?
No, Liverpool.
For no amount.
But they are not crazy for wanting him.
No.
It makes perfect sense. The graphic has explained exactly why they want him and need him. But it's a matter of, it's just a matter of time. He will go.
He will go.
Because we heard rumors about the fact that he's been interested, the money has been tempting, and he's basically going back home. If he goes to Saudi Arabia, that is very close to home. So it will make a lot of sense if in the next couple of months, I'll not be surprised if they come again in January. I don't think that will be likely, but next summer, I think Liverpool fans just need to brace themselves. Salah is going.
Nice one. Breaking news for all Ghanaians. I've been told that Mohamed Kudus is coming on for West Ham United. He's making his debut for West Ham United. We would have loved for him to start, obviously. But yeah, we'll take what we'll get. Great times, isn't it?
I mean, great time.
We are all Hammers.
We are all Hammers.
We are all Hammers. We are all Hammers.
A stadium there. Hopefully we get him.
Yes. After we'll get a live interview from West Ham, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, we all Hammers. Big move for Mohamed Kudus. I'm just hoping if we can get a goal. There were questions about West Ham, the way West Ham, is structured, and whether it's going to work for him. Whether it's going to work for him. There've been questions about that, but whatever be the case, the player says it's a good opportunity for him. Even the English Premier League itself is massive for him. And I think West Ham is going to be a stepping stone for Mohamed Kudus, because clearly that's not the future of Mohamed Kudus. He has a spot in Manchester United. He could have a spot in Chelsea. Could have a spot in Arsenal. So at West Ham, he was able to...
Bossman, we want him to have a spot in Real Madrid. You see, and Bayern, and, stratospheric clubs.
But the way Madrid are, though, it's rare to see Madrid look at West Ham United. So you go to Manchester United.
But you have to be that good.
Anyway, Daniel, I'm interested in it because you've been talking about this a lot. All of the questions about the style of play at West Ham and how it doesn't suit Mohamed Kudus. Can you just explain to us why that move makes sense for both player and team?
There are aspects of his game that will be very useful to this West Ham team. That is facts. I think the large concern is about the fact that when you look at his career progression, especially in club football, Nordsjælland, Ajax have a style that is very common with Brighton. And that is possession, very attacking style of football. So that is something that he's used to. At West Ham United, it will be similar to what he does with Black Stars. Playing on the back foot, not having a lot of the ball. But again, there are aspects of his game that will suit that. It's just about him taking advantage of it and making the best of it.
For me, I think the most important element of this move for me has to be what value the transfer adds to Mohamed Kudus. And I'm not just talking about the value in terms of even his style of play or his football itself, but the value in terms of his image rights and his stardom. And these things are all very important because Mohamed Kudus is a brand. He's not just a talented footballer, because that's the next level. He has to get to the point where he becomes a model. He becomes a Mohamed Salah. The reason Mohamed Salah is as popular as he is isn't just because he's a brilliant footballer, which he is. It's also because Mohamed Salah is very recognizable. It's a massive brand. It's important for Mohamed Kudus to get to that level. And Salah was putting up similar numbers in Roma, but nobody cared until he came to Liverpool. So that's the power of the media, the marketability of the Premier League. That's what it does to a player. And Mohamed Kudus just needs to score up to 10 goals in the Premier League. He just needs to nick one against Man United and nick one against Liverpool, and everybody will be talking about Mohamed Kudus. He's got the looks, he's got the physique, he's got the talent, he's got the intelligence to be a proper superstar brand, like the David Beckham of Africa. And I'm not even exaggerating. And for me, I think Mohamed Kudus has a decent season at West Ham United. He goes straight into Man United. They'll become calling. Players have had far less average seasons, and United are buying them. And when United buy them, suddenly they look like the biggest players in the world. I think that's going to happen. And Mohamed Kudus, I think his biggest nemesis is staying fit. If he stays fit, he will find spaces in that West Ham team to actually thrive. Bowen is thriving. He's an attacking player in a very defensive West Ham team. Nobody's complaining. In fact, he played at West Ham and got an international call-up for playing at West Ham and doing well. And he's an offensive player. So Kudus can thrive at that West Ham team. They're very attack-minded when it comes to their own style, counter-attacking. Kudus has a great ball-striking ability. He's got speed. His hold-up play is fantastic. And Kudus, I said, just need to stay fit. Score 10 goals, and the next level would come. The path to success is not necessarily linear, okay? It's not guaranteed that you go from Nordsjælland to Ajax and then to Bayern Munich or to Real Madrid. Sometimes you need to take a step back. And for me, that step back is actually a step forward, because the Premier League, and that's the paradox, the Premier League, it doesn't matter which club you play for, it's a massive, massive deal. And for Kudus Mohamed, I think he didn't imagine that he would be playing for West Ham. But when he saw that opportunity to play for West Ham, he grabbed it based on all of the factors I have currently expounded.
Gary, one question to you though.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a certain pressure that comes with playing the English Premier League. It's something that Kudus is not used to. It wasn't under so much pressure at Ajax or at Nordsjælland. But when you come to the English Premier League, you look at the kind of publicity that came with Kudus being announced, at West Ham and all of that. Do you think that pressure can get to Kudus? And if it does get to him, we've seen players come at West Ham. Sebastian Haller didn't do well, moved out. We've seen even Ajax players go to some other teams, struggled a bit. Is it going to affect Kudus in any way?
I have just one answer to this question. And I'll be a typical Ghanaian and ask you a question to the question. Are we talking about the player who was going to play in the FIFA World Cup game, sent a text message to all his friends that today I will score 2 and score 2? Is that the player we are talking about? Wait till Musa no go see for Abattoir. I mean, it's Kudus
I think
Mohamed.
Kudus can deal with the pressure.
Kudus is, for every single stage of his career, they went to get him at the Ghana national team. People said, remember what he did?
He scored on his debut.
On his, every single stage he has been given, we are told that right from his under 12 days to his right to dream days, when they were traveling for what they call the Gothia Cup, the bigger the opposition, the bigger the performance. Check Liverpool's records of when they played Nordsjælland and they played him. They had a special mention for him, like players to note, because it was Liverpool that was coming to town. And he's always done that for Ajax. He knew it was going to be his last game. And some people have said, we saw it on social media, that they felt it was arrogant, that after the game he was asked if this was his last game. And he said, I think so. Because, the media training a lot of players get is to say, I'm not sure, and that I'm not thinking about it. But this is Kudus. He wears his confidence on his sleeve.
He's not a liar. So.
He's also not a liar, of course. And look, everything shows that this guy is ready for the big time. The biggest obstacle to Kudus Mohamed is Kudus Mohamed himself, I'm thinking. Anyway, so since we are on him, if you have not been privy to some of the stuff that went on in his really, really high-profile treatment from the West Ham media, this is a few of Kudus unveiling and, whatever happened with him at West Ham. Yeah, so West Ham fans were waiting for him. They got him. Somebody who watched him play for just a few minutes, because he was brought on around the 90th minute, a few minutes to the end of the game, is Rahman Osman, and he's in Luton because that's where West Ham United won their game. Rahman, thank you so much for joining us live on Joy Deadline Day.
Hi, Gary. Thanks for having me. Can you hear me? It's too loud here.
We can hear you clearly, my friend. How was the game?
Well, it was a really good game. For large part, West Ham were really good. And then New England got a goal in the end. And they made it time frantic and nervous in the end. And like you rightly said, Mohamed Kudus came on for the last 5 minutes. Maybe 3 touches, 4 touches. But that will break the ice, won't it?
It will break the ice. Do you reckon that they didn't want to throw him in too early? But isn't it, how should I put this? Do you think that they wanted maybe a home game to start him in or give him a bigger chunk of time?
I thought the plan was to bring him on today earlier than it was, but what Moyes was trying to do was to make sure the win was secured. So once the second goal came, because he was the only one left to warm up for a very long time. Normally when that happens, it means that there's a plan to bring him on. But the game was not won. It was hard to tell if it was really won. And so he had to wait and wait. And once he brought him on, they conceded, so you could see the whole nervousness. But he was definitely meant to come on earlier than this, if the game had been won a bit much more earlier.
Rahman, you're outside, I can see. What was the general buzz like when Kudus came on? Maybe from the press box, from what you heard?
I've got to say there's a really big buzz from the West Ham press team on Ghana, because the reaction that Kudus has had since he was announced is really impressive. And I think they used a Ghanaian British guy when they were making the announcement. And I spoke to Rob, who just said to me that they've been impressed with the way he's been received back home in Ghana. And the feeling they have with Kudus so far is that he's kind of a really nice guy and quite determined and level-headed. And they're all hoping that he can really cut it here in the Premier League. It's early days here, but as with every other big signing, the club are happy, the fans are happy. It's just a matter of if he can be able to cut it and make it big time for them.
Yeah, Rahman, final question. Razak is here, Danny here, Fence is here. Razak, quick question for him before he goes. I'm sure he's supposed to catch the train or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, Rahman, based on, how you saw Kudus perform, there's
Only
no
5 minutes, bro.
Yeah, I mean, but in terms of how West Ham is structured, because that's been the big question, how is West Ham is structured and, how he's going to fit into that team. For the few minutes that you saw him play, what's been your assessment of it?
I think it will be hard to play through the 10 because Paqueta is really good. And it's going to be a very good competition. And West Ham has spent the money from Declan Rice quite really well. They brought in Alvarez, they brought in Mohamed Kudus, and they brought in James Ward-Prowse also. So James is actually really, really good, and especially when it comes to kicking. But this is the Premier League. The competition is going to be quite keen. And if you follow Kudus' story all from the beginning, he's a fighter, he's a competitor. He will find his level and he will contribute to this team. Moyes has a record of giving opportunities to players. When Benrahma first came here, a lot of people didn't think he would be quite crucial. And now he's been able to find himself. And last season, he was a key part of the team that won the Conference League. So Kudus has every tool to make it. I like the challenge. I like the fact that he decided to come to this league where it's much more tougher than the Dutch league. And in a team where he will get the opportunity to make his own mistakes and eventually find his own feet. As I speak to you, he's out again on the pitch now, warming up with those who didn't play and those who just played for the last few minutes.
Nice one. Rahman, thank you very much. I know you have to file your reports and stuff like that. We'll have a bigger and better conversation later, and safe trip from Luton to your home in London. Thank you so much for your time. Bye. And we'll also say a 5-minute bye to you because we have to go and make money, get commercial break.
Quick update before we go. Mason Greenwood, of course, he was supposed to go to Lazio. That deal collapsed because the Italian window is shut already. Now there's a window that's opened for him, and he is reportedly on his way to Getafe in La Liga.
It's not a bad place to start again.
At all.
Because you see, it's
So
the sort
keeping
of
an eye on that.
It's the sort of place he can get in a decent 10 goals, and it's up from there.
And Cancelo's move to Barca is also completed now. So he's a Barcelona player. Abde is also on his way out of Barcelona and reportedly going to Getafe as well. So lots to keep an eye on. After the break, we'll take you to the
We will do that. When we come back, we are doing Ernest Nuama and then doing a bit on the Ghanaians as well in the Ghana Premier League. Yes, we didn't forget that. This is Joy Deadline Day. The hashtag is eponymous, Joy Deadline Day. Stay with us.